Welcome. Trauma is my jam, and by that I mean I help you understand what your body is doing. Let's make sense of it together. This is going to be my trauma truth series, and in this series, we're going to explore some things trauma, chronic stress, and survival mode can do to us. Things that often get misunderstood or is explained as personality flaws when they're actually nervous system adaptations. And today, we're starting with the question I hear all the time. Why do I feel like I've lost myself? The truth about losing yourself when people talk about trauma, they often focus on what happened, the event, the experience, the situation. But trauma isn't only about what happened to us. It's about what happened inside of us as a result of the experience. Because when our nervous system believes we're unsafe, it shifts into survival mode. And survival mode has one primary job: keep us alive. Not help us thrive, not help us discover who we are, not help us pursue our dreams, not help us build meaningful relationships. Its primary and only job is simply to protect us. And when protection becomes the priority, other things often get pushed aside, including parts of ourselves. So let's explore how survival mode changes us. When we're living in survival mode, we start adapting. We learn what feels safest. We learn what helps avoid pain, rejection, conflict, disappointment, and danger. For some people, that means becoming the caretaker. For others, it means becoming the people pleaser, the perfectionist, the overachiever, the peacekeeper, the strong one, the invisible one, the one who never asks for help, and well, the one who always seems to have everything all together. Now, these aren't character flaws, they're adaptations. They're strategies that developed for a reason. At some point in your life, they helped you navigate something difficult. The adaptation becomes the identity. One of the things I see happening over and over again is that people begin to mistake their survival strategies for who they actually are. Instead of saying, I learned to people please because it helped me stay safe, we start saying things like, I'm just a people pleaser. And instead of saying, like, I learned to stay independent because I couldn't rely on others, we start saying things like, I don't need anyone. And instead of recognizing that these are adaptations, we begin to see them as our identity. And that's often where we start losing touch with ourselves. Because the adaptation becomes so familiar that we forget there was ever anything underneath it. Now, personally, this hits home for me on so many levels. So much of my own life, I thought healing meant becoming a better version of myself, becoming more confident, being more productive, being successful, being more healed. I thought I needed to fix myself, to improve myself, to, well, frankly, become someone different. But what I've come to understand is healing isn't really about becoming someone else. It's about reconnecting with who you've always been underneath the survival strategies, underneath the roles, underneath the expectations that have been placed on you, underneath the masks you learn to wear to get through difficult experiences. One of the things I love teaching about trauma is it helps us move away from shame. Because when we understand what our nervous system is doing, these adaptations that have developed, we start to realize there's a reason we respond the way that we do. And your nervous system is constantly scanning your environment and asking a simple question: am I safe? And when the answer feels like no, protection takes top priority. And when protection takes priority, survival strategies show up. But when safety begins to return, something beautiful happens. The parts of ourselves that survival mode pushed aside begin to come back online. Curiosity, creativity, joy, connection, authenticity, purpose. You know, the things that often feel missing when we spent years surviving. So, I'd like to leave you with a question to reflect on this week. What part of yourself may have been hidden beneath survival mode? Maybe it's a dream you stopped pursuing, a need you've ignored for far too long, a passion you've forgotten about, a part of your personality that hasn't had much space to exist. Just get curious. No judgment, no pressure, just invite curiosity. If you've been feeling disconnected from yourself, I want you to know that you are not broken and you haven't failed. Your nervous system adapted to help you survive. And the goal now isn't to judge those adaptations, it's to understand them, to thank them even for getting you to here, and then beginning to explore who you are underneath them. Because coming home to yourself isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you've always been. Wherever you are in your journey, you don't have to do this alone, and I'm honored to walk alongside you. In our next episode next week, we are going to explore why inside alone, hey cat, sorry, why inside alone is not enough to create lasting change, and why knowing what happened isn't always the same as healing from it. Take care, and I'll see you next time.